What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Game Time Discussions. I'm Emery Cousins, sitting with Cameron Selby, and we are going to be going over the conference championship games for this weekend. It's going to be really exciting. Both of these games, both lined at 47.5 between the Commanders, Eagles, and then the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. Very, very fun weekend. Very excited about this. Two teams that we weren't expecting to be here, and then two teams that were probably two of the favorites to make it to this point on the other side. It's just, this is good football. January is the time, and I'm super excited for this, man.
Yeah, with Washington, Buffalo, Washington and Philly.
Yeah.
Rather, it's part 3 of the season matchup. Obviously, division rivalry always adds another element to it. They split the series 1-1, and then Kansas City, Buffalo, just one of the best rivalries and matchups to even watch. I wish that was the Super Bowl, because if Buffalo was on the opposite side, I'd pretty much pick them over either team to get there.
Right.
And it would just be a great game. But I'm just excited. I hope it's a fun game on both sides. But yeah, a lot of fun slate too. Don't mind it. It's very easy to just kind of build whatever you want, really. So yeah, I say let's jump right into it.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now. And as you can see on the board, there's only 4 quarterbacks, guys. We're going to talk about all of them. And it's really easy to, like Cam said, kind of construct your lineups. The first guy, of course, is Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen, he's got so many players on this team that you can't figure out who to really pick and put with him. But we do know that Josh Allen scores a lot of fantasy points. So, ride with Josh Allen, and he will hopefully take us to the promised land this week.
Yeah, he's the one on this entire slate that I'd be okay or comfortable with single stacking or even playing naked. But because basically everybody other than Shakir is just dirt cheap, Shakir is still reasonable at 57. And again, there's no I can't afford stuff on this slate. So it's really easy to maneuver around, and I don't know if I'm comfortable or confident enough of any of these guys to just do a double unless you have one guy go off for 100 yards and then the other guy is the one that scores a touchdown, which is kind of typically how it's gone. James Cook is the one that's kind of been a huge factor in terms of touchdowns, obviously 19 on the year. But one of his worst games against the season, yards per touch wise, was against Kansas City because they're number 1 against running backs. But he just fell into the end zone twice. So he ended up with nearly 20 fantasy points in week 11. But he had 9 carries, 20 yards, and then 5 catches for 7 yards. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, that just kind of speaks volumes for what it was. You have, 14 touches, 27 yards, less than 2 yards a touch. Is he going to score twice? I don't know. Probably not. But 6,900 is not too terrible. And running back-wise, other than one that we'll get into that's a just auto-click, it's pretty wide open.
James Cook, of course, but then you have a slew of receivers, just an absolute insane amount. And I know you said maybe not to double stack this team. I think you could double stack if it falls into it. You know what I mean? Like you could play I'm going with Shakir, and then Keon Coleman's 3,700 and he fits in my lineup. Why not put him in as the last guy? Right. Or Curtis Samuel, I need 3,500. Or and
that's totally fair. I mean, it's a 2-game slate, so you're gonna naturally just organically fall into things that you're probably gonna play a defense against 2 skill players, and it's don't feel nervous or uncomfortable. I mean, they're both the same total at 47.5 as of right now. One's kind of a closer game, the other one's about a 6-point spread, but I'm not really confident in that spread. So I expect 2 close games that are probably in the low 20s to low 20s, or maybe at the very end salvages to maybe break the over. Right,
for sure.
But yeah, I'm not going out of my way to do a double. But if it's the last man in, and like you said, there's 3 guys that are 3,700 below that will be on the field that might catch 5 or have 5 targets, yeah, click on them. Bless you. So,
if you did have to rank these 3 guys, how would you do it? Because I know that's not a fair question, really, because it's just really gross. But if you had to pick between the 3 at the bottom down there, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, and Curtis Samuel, how would you rank them? And I wonder how Roto ranks them.
Yeah, that's what I was about to look up as well. I would probably say Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel. And it's not confident, but I just know that not Buffalo, but Kansas City, the way to attack that defense, They're bottom 4 against the tight ends this year. There's been a couple of several boom games from really dirt cheap plays, and then also really good tight ends have had solid performances. The one time that they did play Kansas City this year, Dalton Kincaid missed.
Mm-hmm.
Dawson Knox came in 4 for 40, and he was less than $3,000. Return value tremendously. So if you can have something like a 4 for 40, cross your fingers. I mean, that's something that I'm looking forward to. I bet you he might be the lowest owned of the Buffalo players as well. As of right now, there are, let's see, Dalton Kincaid is showing about 12%. Curtis Samuel is actually the lowest owned, but I'm pretty surprised.
Keon's at 21.
Keon at 21 is really, really tough because I know he's been on the field, but both games, 1 catch for 5 yards.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's done things to warrant that kind of ownership.
Right. Okay, so let's go on to the next quarterback. Josh Allen by himself is fine, guys. He is just good at football, and if you have the money, pay for him. Jay Daniels, also pretty good at football. Didn't miss a step coming from LSU. He's going to be playing. I don't know. How many rookies have gone to the conference championship game? There's got to be really low.
Well, I know recently Brock Purdy just did.
Right.
But first round quarterbacks, which is kind of what is the expectation, right? I know Mark Sanchez did in 2008 with the Bills.
Okay.
The Jets.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know if anybody has done that recently without Googling it. But yeah, it's a rare occasion and occurrence. But on top of that, no one, even if they have, no one's had the statistical consistency in season that he has had this year. He has been just nothing but absolutely strong as advertised. We were kind of early on it. Like you said, in the showdown video, you basically texted me months before the draft saying that he's going to be the second quarterback in this entire draft to go off the board. And that was an unpopular take because Drake May was the consensus quarterback too. And so I wish we had the clout to be able to say we were right and everybody just give us the flowers for that, or at least you the flowers. But yeah, even you didn't have these expectations going into just a one-man skilled position group and everything by committee. But Cliff Kingsbury and him have just been a perfect pairing. And he's been crushing it this year.
What, you didn't think I could predict a rookie quarterback taking his team to the NFC Championship with a defensive head coach and a brand new team? Yeah, 40 new players on the team or whatever.
And while you said that, a couple months later after they drafted him, I said that they were the best bet to win the NFC East. I was wrong on that. However, I think I can at least get a little, like a teensy bit of credit because
if they win this game, you get all the credit. All the credit, yeah. You get it.
Yeah, they've been very fun story to watch. We're both rooting for Washington in this game anyways. But it starts with Terry. If you're going to do a single or a double, it doesn't matter what you do. But yeah, every time Jaden has a great game, most of the time he's the one that is the main beneficiary of it, having 1 touchdown, 2 touchdown upside. 15 touchdowns on the year is just absurd. And but he does have the occasional hiccup where it's 2 points. I don't expect that this week, even though Philly, he hasn't had more than 60 yards in either game against them. The last game, though, he did score a touchdown, so he ended up with a solid 17, which he'll take. You see that back in Week 16, where they came back and won. But even when he did that, Olamide Zaccheaus was the one that caught 2 touchdowns. Jameson Crowder had 2 touchdowns as well on 2 catches.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, Zach Ertz had 1 game where he salvaged with the touchdown. So they're all in play. Do you have a lean? I'll make you do this one. How would you rank De'Ami Brown, Zaccheaus, and Zach Ertz?
Oh, that's okay. So De'Ami Brown's first, Zach Ertz second, Zaccheaus third. But it's more so I would expect De'Ami Brown to be really highly owned. So,
yeah, as of right now, he is 28, and I might even say that he might be higher.
That seems really low to me. Zach Ertz at 17.5, and then where is Zaccheaus is actually 8%. So
yeah, which obviously he has a Q tag. I don't expect him to. Ertz does too, but they both should play.
Yeah,
and I don't think it's much of an impact for anybody else. At least on the main slate. Showdown slate, that might give you a boost to Jamison Crowder, but I still probably don't want to play him all the way. I mean, he's 31, sure.
He's free.
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you could play him if he gets 1 catch, 2 catches. Sure, he returns value. But I'd rather play Zacchaeus, obviously. This range, though, looking at these guys, I'm definitely thinking the De'Ami Brown price. It's just like Terry McLaurin is the second highest priced receiver, and the highest priced receiver is 6,800. It's not like you're having to go up to the 7,000-8,000s for a receiver this week. I don't know that I hate De'Ami Brown at 4,400 if you're going to get him at to open up prices, but I actually think there's other guys that can open up prices that are actually showing less ownership right now, and we'll talk about those guys here in a second.
Right.
So this is that team.
Yeah.
We're got the next one.
Philly Eagles, which is probably the most uncomfortable, and I would probably say, even though we'll talk about him, just to break down how self-explanatory it is, but I'm probably least interested in any of the four in Jalen Hurts. Obviously, he got banged up, has a knee injury, and he didn't have a rushing attempt. After that, they had an opportunity for tush push. They didn't take that, so I expect him to be at least limited with the rushing upside, and passing upside has not been there. His prop is juiced to the under at 182 yards, according to Prize Picks, and he had a 44-yard rushing touchdown that got him to 18 points, and other than that, he just had less than 10 fantasy points the rest of the day, which is very tough to do. And then on the Green Bay game, he had 31 passing yards going into the fourth quarter, had a second passing touchdown and 100 passing yards to, I guess, salvage the day. But you are not happy if you're getting 16.84 from Mr. Jalen Hurts. At least his price has gone down to at least make that
adjust.
Yeah,
but it's still not.
It's just
it's
all tough.
The problem is too, his price might have gone down, but everybody's price is down. Like you're not getting an $8,000. I wonder. So I mean, he's 6,800 last week. Last week, Josh Allen was what, 8,000? No, 77. Okay, so I mean, he went down. Jaden Daniels, and I'm sure Patrick Mahomes went down after his performance, was 7,000. So even, but I can't get behind it. Here's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and on top of that,
to 6, yeah, same.
On top of that, I mean, if right now they're all projecting close to or over 20 points, but Jalen Hurts right now is showing 33% owned, and I'm not even close to touching that. I don't know why he wouldn't be the fourth highest owned quarterback. Maybe that'll adjust as the week goes on. I expect him to play through the injury,
right?
But I just think his upside's capped. He's also not playing at his peak, so he needs probably 3 touchdowns himself to return value and be a better play than these other guys. He's kind of sandwiched in between. So very interesting how they just went like $500 increments for each guy. But yeah, he's probably my least interest. But that doesn't mean that you can't play any of these guys as a standalone.
Right.
AJ Brown, we talked about in the showdown that we are going to. He's one of our fades, but he has historically had a really strong performance against Washington, and on top of that, against in primetime games, he just struggled last week. Week before, he didn't have many opportunities, but that's just going to reflect in low ownership, in my opinion. So right now, he is all the way down. Where are you?
Do by salary 38. I mean, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Surprised by that,
but it's also 2 gamers, so anything under 40%, it's not crazy popping. But I'd probably prefer to save $1,000 and go Devontae,
who's also 39%.
Who's 39, but he's actually out projecting AJ Brown. Right
now. Yeah. Dallas Goedert, being the other guy on there, he is 24.5%. It's because everything's going to Kelsey, but 24.5%. I'm not against playing him. He's 4,500. I mean, we're gonna have lines of double tight end. He wouldn't be a bad double tight end in my personal opinion.
No, yeah, I think double tight end we've pretty much nailed both weeks. We just haven't nailed the quarterback for the most part with the exposure. But we were on Kelsey last week. Obviously, had a 100-yard game.
Yeah,
we were on Sam Laporta. He had 17 points. We were on Isaiah Likely. He had a touchdown to end up with, I think, 17. Also, we were on Tyler Higbee. He scored a touchdown also. So we nailed tight end. So we're kind of just ride the pine with that, and any of these 4 tight ends are interesting, but Goddard, since he's been back, every single game he's had 4 catches, at least 9.5 fantasy points in all 4 of those games, so he's very, very safe at 4,500.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to clear this out. We're going to go to the last quarterback in Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, his price didn't change because obviously he had a tough fantasy game, but a lot of that had to do with just them not having the ball. They ended up, and we mentioned this on the showdown, allowed 11-minute drive to start the second half, and on top of that, they didn't end basically had a full 15 minutes of game
Not
time,
touching the ball.
not touching the ball.
Crazy.
On top of that, started the game with a 60-yard return and got a penalty, and then went 3 and out when they started the drive in the red zone. So he just had no opportunity to have long field and long sustaining drives, and that really hit. And I hope that just kind of reflects in his ownership because of how tough the game was as a whole. On top of that, 2 of the 3 biggest receiving or wide receiver options, rather, both had goose eggs in Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins. So really, it starts with Travis Kelce because it's playoff time. He shows up the brightest, one of the greatest of all time at playoff performances, efficiencies, records. He's basically got almost everything. And if he doesn't, Jerry Rice has the other record. But yeah, 27.7. I don't see how you can get off of him this week.
Fair. And then, like you said, the other guys, but we're not going to really get into the running backs. But since it's a 4-gamer and you have to play 2 of them, it's going to be hard to try to find running backs. It's, of course, Saquon. We didn't even talk about him yet. We will get to him. We'll get to him. Don't worry. But everybody else is kind of hard to decide where you want to go. I think that you could have dart throws on these 2 guys.
Yeah.
Not this guy. Let's just be honest. It's Kareem Hunt to me.
Yeah, obviously Saquon is the must play and stuff like that. He's going to be in every one of our lines. But other than that, it's you spend up to James Cook at 69, who, again, number 1 against running backs, or you just pick one of those mid-price running backs, which every other one is between $5,200 and $5,600.
Right.
And that's Brian Robinson, who just coming off a 2-touchdown game. Austin Eckler, who's been pretty safe as like an 8-point guy in recent weeks and 50% of the snaps. Kareem Hunt at least is getting more snaps and he's getting the goal line work, so 5,400, whatever. I don't mind. Isaiah Pacheco's probably the one guy that's an odd man out to me because he has no snaps. He's not getting goal line touches. He's not getting pass game work. He hasn't been good since he's returned. So basically picking one of those 3, you're not going to feel great about it, but maybe they punch one in, the other 2 don't, and you're going to prosper because of it.
For sure. And then, so that's all the quarterbacks. We're talking, Saquon Barkley is an auto quick, guys. He is projected currently 20. So if you just look at the running back position, he's projected 15 points higher than any other running back. If you look at the flex position, he's projected 11.5 points higher than any other player. He's the highest projected if you just take and you add quarterbacks. Like he's projected 4 points higher than Josh Allen. Yeah. So he's playing. Okay, you're putting him in your line no matter what.
On top of that, the matchup presents itself. Jahmyr Gibbs just went off for 2 scores and 38 fantasy points last week. The 2 times he's played Washington, he had 30 fantasy points, and then the other game he had over 30 fantasy points. Had 2 touchdowns in both of those games. Had over 150 yards in both of those games. You're clicking on his name. And I just don't know how you start a line without both Saquon and Travis Kelce.
Fine. I'll put Travis in there too.
Yeah. I don't know how you don't start a line without that.
It's fine. I'm with you. Quarterback-wise, which quarterback is your favorite? Or at least one of the ones you want to build with?
Well, I don't know if I can say he's my favorite, but I don't think I can get away from building with Mahomes because it's just easy.
Yeah.
Either doing a double or triple. There's 3 options, and basically picking 2 or 3 of all 3 of them is what I want to do. And then also, Jaden Daniels is probably my second favorite, to be honest, just because of the guys that you can pair him with.
Okay. So who's your second guy at wide receiver then? Do you want to go all the way down to Hollywood, or do you want to stay up? Okay, easy.
And if I can fit 3, I might, but we'll figure it out. Defense, just click 1. If I can. How do you rank them if price didn't matter? Because I think there's going to be some remainder on this slate. So how would you rank these if you had the ability to spend up to one of them?
I'm picking Buffalo to win. So Eagles.
You switched your pick.
I mean, I'm picking KC to win. Sorry.
Okay.
I think Philly's won for sure.
Defense, yeah.
I think Philly's won for sure. And then I'm going to say the Bills, and then KC, and then Washington, and that's because KC doesn't get any stats. And we talked about this last week. They just they're really good at just doing the right thing. But
they had 8 sacks last week.
They did.
No turnovers. They barely forced any turnovers this year, and they also allowed. I know it says 14 points, but one was a safety at the very end that doesn't count towards a defensive score. So they had the 4-point bonus on top of the 8 sacks. So, but yeah, I think I agree. Philly would be my favorite in this one. But it does make me nervous based on them kind of allowing teams to salvage and maybe they get bid at the end of the day. But
Fair.
they've been the most consistent one. Running back, I guess I'll fall on the sword on this one. Austin Eckler.
Sure. Why not
At
Ty
least
Johnson?
I mean, if we want to go that route, maybe. I just don't like. What are you gonna afford? And we'll get there. But yeah, receiver wise, I'm not even interested really.
Who are the
At least
backs?
in this line to even get up to the 6K range.
Mhm.
And doing that just basically allows you to pick 3 guys in the middle. So with that said, I'm just gonna ride with Xavier Worthy, Khalil Shakir, and then you have a gross amount. I actually remember trying to build this line and it was tough. But with that said, I'm going down in defense. Go down to Washington.
Okay.
And that allows you to get up to Devontae Smith as a flex play. And again, you're going to fall into organically playing 1 to 2 guys against your defense. I'm at the end of the day, based on the route I was taking, just picking all the mid-tier receivers, it just fell into I had to pick them or Buffalo, which I'm triple stacking, so I'm gonna go the other side. But yeah, that was my first look at least.
Okay, I'm gonna pull this out, not all the way, because I actually want to change some things up and just kind of rebuild it. I'm gonna take Xavier Worthy out because I know that that's kind of what's making this line uncomfortable. I'm gonna put Terry in because I think Terry is possibly my favorite receiver on the slate. No, most likely my favorite receiver on the slate. Try to put them back in.
Okay.
Is there a cheap guy? We could double tight end, 4,500, 5,500, 5,400.
Doing somebody like a Dallas Goedert leaves you enough for a 5,400 player or worse.
Yeah,
That's not enough for either Worthy or
that's
Shakir.
why I didn't want it.
But you can go down to a Kincaid or
Yeah,
or an
or
Ertz.
Zach Ertz.
Maybe affords you. No, that he doesn't either. Or he at least affords you Worthy if you want to go that route.
I'm not going Ertz because I would have 3 Washington players.
True. Very true.
I'm going to go ahead and go down to Kincaid.
Okay.
And then have
63.
63, which is Devontae Smith, Khalil Shakir. I don't have a lean, really. Is there a running back that I could go to? No.
I mean, in this build, since you're kind of going
Against Washington.
different, you can just say, hey, we're going to eat 1,600 and try to get to James Cook, and that leaves you 47, which is basically De'Ami Brown ish.
Yeah, could do that. Yeah, okay. Not against that.
Something like that.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I think there's just so many ways to build. It's going to be really hard for me to be confident in any build with the running back situation, if that makes sense.
I mean, the thing is, this isn't going to be just one of those slates where like 180 points is going to be the cash because
Right.
I actually am picking the under on both of these games, so I don't expect just fireworks from both or all 4 teams rather, to where like you're going to have chalk everywhere just scoring 30 fantasy points. So, but there's basically clear-cut ways to build when you do those builds. Who's the next quarterback you'd like to try to build with?
Well, I guess Jaden Daniels is fine. I think Josh Allen I want to do a build with also.
Okay.
But Jaden Daniels is good. Tight end, we'll put Travis Kelce back in. Can't play them. We'll just go all the way down. Number 1 receiver, Terry McLaurin.
Yep.
And then
De'Ami is my... I think
second.
we both agreed that because they're 100 different,
Yeah,
that
that's fine.
De'Ami Brown and Ertz we'd prefer De'Ami.
Running back.
I mean, you can triple to go Austin Eckler. We can say the narrative is Kareem Hunt's going to fall into the end zone 1 to maybe 2 times to
Be annoying.
Wide
receiver 2 is probably just Hollywood. Click
Okay.
it. He's just so cheap, man. And then 5,000. Okay. I could go back up.
Yeah, well, you can't play a Philly D in this line.
Right.
So the most expensive would be the Kansas City, which we don't have any Bills at the very moment. But that's enough to go Goddard as the flex.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think it's a cool line.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, we're just
no
fading the Bills. All the KC.
It's so tough based on everybody's price. The only one that's like a reasonable price that like I can eat 10 points is Khalil Shakir.
Yeah.
But everybody else has like a 0, or James Cook is the one that obviously has the most upside, but toughest matchup. And you really got to lean on him having a 2-touchdown game more so than, he has the upside of a 100-yard game.
Right. No, and that's why it's hard because we're about to make a Josh Allen line. Mm-hmm. This line is going to look pretty similar, I think. Yeah. But
I think every single game, because I think both will be close, I think every line I want to have exposure to every single team.
Fair.
But I do like the line that we just built, just for the record.
Yeah.
Now this, we should have a little bit easier time affording things because I'm assuming you're going to try to want to do a double, right?
Maybe.
Okay.
That's kind of where I want to start. So easily going to double.
Maybe triple.
Maybe. Cool. I guess.
Sure.
Because he's kind of by default.
Yeah, we don't have money.
No, we don't.
We have no money. We might have to go down to Washington.
It's fine.
That'll at least leave enough for Keon and Dalton, for what it's worth, or Samuel as well.
Yeah, I mean, Dalton's going in. 39. Zacchaeus. I'd rather go down to Keon.
Yeah. The tough thing is like
I don't have to play Terry in this one.
Let's get off him.
Okay. Let's go to the Kansas City guys.
Okay, so we'll put in, I guess, Hollywood again, or are you trying to get up?
I was gonna say Worthy.
Okay, that's fine.
And then that's a little bit more comfortable.
Okay.
So
that's Keon and having enough for 500 remainder. That's there's no running back I want to play. Exactly.
It's the problem.
Really, every line is going to be either 4 wide receivers or 2 tight ends. I'm not even considering 3 running backs.
But that's 3 KC players.
Whatever, man.
Explosive game right here.
I guess so.
Oh, man. That's tough.
All our marbles in that second game.
Yeah, I'd rather not play Hollywood in this one and go, I just don't know who's going to have the best game. I'd actually kind of side with, I don't know. I put you on the spot, but I still don't know. I'm going to put him in. 5,200 is nothing.
Yeah.
But it's okay because we can just do this. And then I can get 4,600.
It's Goddard again.
Or Diami.
Probably.
I kind of side with Diami. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Goddard's going to get 4 catches.
Well, since we don't have Terry, I guess I'm fine with that.
Yeah. That's another. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Goddard's going to get 4 catches.
And for what it's worth, you do have enough for Keon, Samuel, or Kincaid.
Yes.
Doing that, putting Diami in the receiver, and then having your last guy in be any Bill to be the second Bill of this build.
Yep. So you can see. Well, we'll get down there. Keon, Dalton, I think you said, Curtis.
Or I think I said
Dalton.
Kincaid.
Yeah.
Kincaid, Coleman, Samuel. Do you side with that order, or do you?
Think I side Kincaid, Samuel, Keon. Is how I think I would do it.
I was wondering if Coleman was actually going to be your number 1, so that's interesting.
Yeah. But I think that this is a good way to build. I really don't have much more to talk about on this slate. It's a really fun slate.
I don't even want to flirt with. We can try.
No.
Let's just do a look. I just want to see
Jalen. A Jalen look.
Jalen double.
It's gonna be a Devontae Smith.
Because nobody is going to really. I feel like do a triple. So.
I'm playing this then.
Sure. Why not? Let's just see. And then you're Mr. Travis.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
All right.
Buffalo, Washington.
Do Hollywood.
Okay.
And then
I'd like to get
Out of ideas.
obviously a Washington player, either Terry or Diami.
Diami. Put Diami.
Okay.
Perfect.
Are you sure?
And then that's enough for any of those, second round of running backs.
So we have 3 Chiefs. And I don't know.
Okay, so then take out Worthy. Put in either Eckler or
Okay.
Robinson. Or I guess you can't put in Robinson in my idea, but then having Shakir be the last guy and to be the only Bill in the line.
Okay, then you could also change out the defense because now we're playing to Washington. You could just say that this game is going to suck.
Right.
And then just putting in whatever Chiefs or Bills.
And then you have enough for Brian Robinson if you want to.
Yeah, right here.
Sure.
Why not? But yeah, no, I think I think I hate it. But
see, because there's going to be some people that might be interested in Jalen Hurts. Obviously, he's shown 30% ownership right now, so I just wanted to see because it's a very unique way to go. Because I feel like a lot of people are going to put him with AJ Brown, which is what we didn't do.
It's going to be tough to get up there.
Yeah, but
especially if you're not. Are you
not
playing Saquon? Like
no, you have to play Saquon,
right? So
even then, Jalen Hurts builds. I don't care. My thing is the way that we're unique on this is that not only do we not have AJ Brown, we also don't have Terry McLaurin as a bring back.
Mm-hmm.
So we're fading both number ones, but doing the double bring back,
right,
double stack kind of build, which is kind of unique.
I wonder,
because I feel like I honestly feel like I know Devontae's showing some ownership, and maybe because there's so many cheap receivers, he'll be higher than I anticipate. But I wouldn't be shocked for him to have as much or lower ownership than a Dallas Goedert.
Right. No, I think that's fair.
At least of Xavier Worthy, Shakir, and Devontae, I feel like he'll be the lowest owner of those 3, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm actually doing some math because there is no way that these numbers add to 200%.
No.
Like there's no way.
Yeah, they struggle on small slates.
It's 155%. So they're missing 45% just for running backs on RotoWire right now.
Yep.
Which is fine. But what about people that want to play it in the flex?
I know Saquon's going to be, obviously by far the highest owned guy. I don't anticipate him being over 90% in a large field tournament.
Fair.
In cash games, probably he'll get. It's really hard to get over 90% exposure for an entire, slate of guys because not only do you have people that don't know what they're doing, there's people that put 2%er lines and cash lines for no reason, and you have to account for those as well. And yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not playing Jalen Hurts at quarterback, so there's that. Yeah, but I'll stop sharing.
We're filling time. We're talking about a 2-gamer. So.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that, of course, this weekend implies. I mean, we get to see who gets to play in the Super Bowl. I really wish it was, like you said earlier, Kansas City versus the Bills, but hey, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. I'd love to see Washington win. We're both on that sentiment, kind of like how we thought, I personally wanted Notre Dame to win. Didn't mean I thought they were going to, and they did not, but I wanted them to win. So it was just one of those things that, we're rooting for a team that we're picking against basically in this situation. I'm not picking against Saquon anymore. It is what it is.
Can't do that. That burned us really bad on a showdown before. But yeah, you just got to click his name because there's nothing else you're trying to afford on this entire slate. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Please leave a like, comment who your other must play is. You can't say Saquon or Travis because that is obviously something that's going to be very self-explanatory and very duped. So who else is going to be your must-play? Like, who are you feeling vibes on the 5K range? Because that's really the summary of this slate is how are you going to approach the 5K range at both running back and receiver, and what are you going to do with all that? Yeah, but we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We got a ton of stuff coming out over the off season. We're not going to stop putting out content, so we'll be here. So come hang out and check out all of our draft stuff, our free agent stuff, transfer portal stuff that Dustin will be doing. Everybody, we're all going to be working on stuff, so we're really excited to get this going. We're almost in a whole year at this point. Yeah, so. And also one last thing, Jaden Daniels. Free square on Prize Picks,
yes.
Half a yard. Make sure you click on that. We talked about our favorite props of each showdown in the other showdown video. Check that out when it is released.
Yeah, absolutely. So we appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and we'll see you on the next one.